Katie Breslin, National Committee Woman of the D.C. Young Democrats, and Dante Johnson, President of the Black Conservative Federation. They're joining us now to talk. Dante, this is your first time. You actually worked for the Trump campaign, right?
Yes, I was a part of the Trump campaign in North Carolina.
Okay, all right. Let me ask you both to respond to just what happened in the last several hours. The president canceling the military plane. What do you make of that?
I think it's ridiculous. I think that we're seeing that Nancy Pelosi and the House Democrats have what is actually a priority, national security, and this trip was an example of that. I think that that's pretty clear.
Well, that's the problem. We're worried about things that's happening across overseas, but we're not worried about what's happening in the country. Chicago, Detroit, Brooklyn. This is the priority, but they always want to worry about illegal immigrants and everything that's happening. Let's focus on Americans.
Respectfully, I would actually disagree. I mean, we see that Democrats are consistently saying that we really need to open the government. And what we're seeing is this wall is continuing to hold a total barrier in the way of us being able to have that
Being in Egypt and
conversation.
Brussels is not opening up America.
Well, she said she wasn't going to Egypt, and she said she was stopping in Brussels just to assure NATO allies, and she's going into a war zone, Afghanistan, okay? She has to approve the budget. I mean, members of Congress do make these trips. But to suggest she take a commercial flight into a war zone, I mean, he was kidding there, right? Of course he was.
I think that he should be worried about the leaders, and it obviously doesn't show good hospitality or good leadership to be able to say that to someone.
What about Pelosi canceling or trying to cancel or postponing the State of the Union address?
That was a petty move on her part. I think at any time to hear from the president doing a shutdown is very important, especially people want to know what the president is thinking, what's happening with Congress, and I think a State of the Union is very important, just like his address was very important.
To both of you, don't we know what they each think on this? People just want it to get done. Federal workers want to go to work. You both would agree with that.
Yeah,
Figure out a way to get them back to work, okay?
Yes.
So then let me ask you this. What would you, if you were talking to Nancy Pelosi, be willing to give up? What would you, if you were in the room with the president, be trying to convince the president to give up? You got to move. You got to compromise, right?
Yeah, I think the suggestion that the president doesn't want to reopen the government, that the wall is what he's compromising for, is actually ridiculous. That the government should be open. I think both Trump should have that as a priority, as well as Pelosi. And I think that that's what House Democrats have consistently said.
I tell the president to go ahead and use
Declare national emergency.
Declare national emergency. Let's get the wall. We build our wall. Then the House and the Senate can discuss for the rest of the budget.
Yeah, I take up his point there, okay? And then Pelosi can walk away with a win, right? Okay, we didn't give in. President decided to do it his way, fine, right?
But that's suggesting that President Trump is not trying to reopen this government. I mean, we have a compromise is common values, and I think what we have the common values of is that we want to reopen the government. D.C. businesses are actually hurting, and he should listen to his neighbors that live here in D.C. and around the country.
I want to move on to Rudy Giuliani, okay? Rudy Giuliani, I mean, I'm watching CNN last night. I was dumbfounded when he said that he had never said there's no collusion on the part of anybody in the campaign, that he's now just speaking for the president.
He speaks for the president. You know, we've seen.
But he did say, you will admit, that he has said in the past, and the president said in the past, there's been no collusion, period.
There has been said, but you really can't, and in the point, you really can't you can't speak for everyone else. You can only speak for the person that you represent, and he represents President Trump, and so he was right to correct himself in that
What do you think they're doing there?
I think that we're waiting for Mueller, and he will have a report, and we will see what that report says. And I think that if the news that continues to see is that we will see that there is some collusion.
Anybody got a problem with Michael Cohen saying that he fixed a couple of polls, that he was working to try and get an online pollster to cheat?
You know, at this time, I'm ready for us to get back to working for America. We have spent 2 years talking about these investigations. When are we going to actually get something done? Democrats are going to spend the next 2 years trying to take Trump down instead of actually making America great.
Do you want to hear from Mueller? Do you want to get that report out?
Sure.
Sure. You don't sound very convincing.
You know, it's to the point that it's been dragged on over and over again. When are we going to be done with this?
You want to hear from Mueller?
I would love to hear from Mueller, and I think that what we're going to see in the next 2 years is Democrats making the case that we deserve the White House in 2020, that we're going to be making the case that a Democratic president should be what we see in 2020.
So they got to use the Trump's investigation to make the case for that.
All right.
I think that it's pretty clear that there needs to be more oversight, and we need to have a very competent leader, one that can get us a government that is open.
Even Republicans on the Hill want to see this report. They want it out there. Yeah. They want as much of it as possible made public, right?
Yeah, we got to put it to bed. It needs to be put to bed.
Okay, all right. Thank you both. All right. Another local